Welcome to China Paradigm, a show powered by Dashi Consulting, where we interview seasoned entrepreneurs and experienced managers in China about their business and experience in the country. Hello everyone, I'm Matthieu David, the founder of Dashi Consulting and this podcast, China Paradigm. Today, joining me is Guillaume Rué de Bernadac. I'm pronouncing in French because it's such a French name from a noble heritage with a de, if people listening to us know French culture. I have to say that I have been very impressed by your presentation you sent to me of your company. This is one of those businesses I love. It's niche, very clearly identified, with a very clear identity where each time someone is meeting with you, they will remember what you do very clearly, and they will identify you for what you do. And I believe that's also part of the reason why you have been asked by the Chinese hospitals to train their staff. I mean, to be in the list of the potential training companies, or even the actual training companies. You have been working for Cartier, LVMH, I mean, your company, l'Académie de Bernadac, and Vanke, which is a very Chinese company, Maserati, Xi'an Jiaotong Daxue, and so on and so on. You have been quoted in Hurun Report, China Daily, Condé Nast, BBC, The Guardian. What do? You are providing etiquette classes, and actually much more than that. If I look at your entire presentation, it's for individuals, it's for corporations, and you started your business in 2014, just after, or not that long after graduating. You have been in China for 7-8 years. You first studied and then starting this business, or I would say maybe this extension of business, because this is some way a family business. Your family has been in the etiquette business for years, decades, at the originally royal court of Morocco for the king of Mohammed V, if my information is correct. Thanks for being with us. I'm very happy to have you here. Could you tell us more about your business? Anything I forgot?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to be here with you, and thank you for all of those who are watching us today. Yes, so as it has been said, we are a company. We are doing etiquette trainings. So this is the core of our business. We have 3 business models, 2 being in B2B, 1 being in B2C. So in B2B, we're going to do staff training when companies want to train their staff. This represents a small portion of business, I will say around 10%. Then we have B2B, B2B2C. So when companies are doing events for their own clients. So actually this is the largest part of the business. All the major brands that Matthieu has mentioned, this has been the operation mode for most of the time. And the third business model being the B2C. So when we organize classes for people to register for themselves, either in groups or either in private, in one-to-one.
When we think about your business, we are thinking about very elite access. And would you mind telling a little bit about your pricing to the audience, for them to understand how to project into your business? The information we got from online is that you have a class for children for 4 hours, which is about 2,688, which sounds very Chinese, 88. That basically is 350 euros. You have a divan deportment class, which is close to 7,000 yuan. Again, your pricing is very Chinese, 6,988 yuan. And elegantly outstanding class, which is 3,888. I understand those prices, if they are correct, and you are going to tell me if it's correct, are more for B2C, so individuals. I understand that you may have different pricing for B2B. Could you share a little bit on how you charge? Is it per classes? Is it per... Actually, something I was surprised to understand, by item, to understand deportment, to understand how to walk, basically, elegantly, or how to photo shoot elegantly as well. So is it based on specific class? Is it actually a set of all classes you need to know about how to behave? Could you tell us more about the pricing and the services?
Certainly. Yes, so as you said, we must do a distinction between the B2C and the B2B. So in B2C, the prices you mentioned are very correct. And indeed, they're very Chinese. For those watching us, you know that in the West, in America, in Europe, or elsewhere, prices will often end up with 99. In China, it's 88, being a lucky number. So for public prices, this is what we have. The curriculum for the B2B, B2C programs is actually quite always the same. So there is, if it's adult, if it's one day, there will be one part about dining manners, which is one of the most popular topic. And the afternoon will be dedicated to some deportment exercises and some photo posing. So this is for adults, the one day. The kids one, there will be dining manners, social manners, and also some little deportment exercises in 4 hours. When it comes to B2B, things are very different. And indeed, our price grid, it's larger, and so is our offers. So in B2B, it will be mostly large companies willing to do events for their own VIPs. And most of the times, they don't want to do one shot. They are doing it all over the country. So they're doing in the major Chinese cities, so Beijing, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Chengdu, etc., etc. So we tend to negotiate packages for that to cover all the events they will have for one season, or sometimes 2 seasons. So as you can imagine, prices have strong variations depending on the amount of days they book. So to give you a grid, it can go to 25,000 for one day if it's a single time and if it's with me, because we have different teachers. So if they want me as a founder, it will be more expensive than if they have some other of our teachers. We have in total 5 teachers. And it can be we can have larger discount up to, I think, around 40%. If they book more than 6 days, which is most of the case.
Got it. To understand better the size of your business, we talked about pricing, services. Now about the size of your business, how many people are working in your team? We read online that you were very proud of saying that you are one of the most international team, because you have people from countries which are not that big neither, like Serbia, if I understand, or Ukraine, and we are not strong communities in China, so we can. I feel that it's very, very international. So could you tell us more about your team now?
Exactly. So our specificity is to provide foreign teachers from different backgrounds. So there is me as French. One of my colleagues indeed is from Serbia. We have also a Russian gentleman, a Ukrainian gentleman, also a German lady teaching with us. Each of them have different background and their own specialty, which enable us to send a relevant trainer when there is a need for the client. So for instance, if they want to organize an event for kids, it won't be the same person going if it's an hotel willing to do a training for their butlers. And it won't be the same if we have someone asking to teach catwalk or photo posing for ladies. So we are ready to meet any needs.
We're talking about 5 people now, right?
As a trainers, yes. Of course, there is a team behind for the marketing and for the sales support, which is of course mostly Chinese.
I see. So total size is like 10 yes, people?
Exactly.
Around 10 people. That's something I'd like to talk more afterward, is that you're present on social media in China, and I really admire what you did on Zhihu, especially, and your interaction, but engagement with the Chinese audience. I was planning to talk about that later on. So I'd like to understand better about your clients now. In some articles, we read that 90% of people who sign up for your classes as individuals, if I understand correctly, are women aged between 25 and 50, which is pretty large, actually, 25 and 50. But mainly women, 90% clearly. So how do you analyze your clients? Why do they sign, as individuals, why do they sign up for your classes? And I'm going to add up a bit of layers of questions. Manners.
even I would say maybe elegance. It could be very different from one country to another, from one culture to another. Etiquette, even more. Do you behave with the same etiquette with chopsticks and knife and fork? So I believe that the reasons why your Chinese clients may join your classes may be very, very different from why a French client in France or in Morocco or in Britain could join similar classes. What's your take on it?
Yes. So indeed, what you have been reading is correct. So if I have to draft the profile of the people or the individuals joining our classes, it's actually quite similar to the profile of people who join our classes in B2B, which the clients of our clients. Let's say if we take the big luxury or beauty brands, their clients end up to being the same as our own private clients. So that's why our B2B trainings are quite successful and appreciated by these large brands, because what we propose is matching the expectations and the interest of their clients. So profile of these clients, here we come. As you said, 90% of ladies and the 10% remaining of the gentlemen, either they come because the wife is coming, because the mother is coming, or because sometimes, so it happens, the daughter sent them. So 90% of ladies, an age range indeed between 25 and, I would say the big part being between 30 and 45, but 25 to 50 generally. Socially speaking, they live in Tier 1. So Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou, Shenzhen, but mostly Shanghai and Beijing, by far. We do have people traveling, of course, to attend the classes from all over China. We even had some people traveling from Australia. We did a 12 hours class to come to our class in Shenzhen 2 years ago. It happened. So you talk about an elite. Yes, we can say so. But by elite, we should mean kind of executives. They're not necessarily all millionaires, billionaires, by far no. But they're people having responsibilities, people in businesses, or sometimes housewives, whose husband, of course, is businessman. What makes them different in terms of what they are interested is they consider themselves as international. And here we come to what you were asking, like chopsticks, forks, knives. So let's be clear, they are Chinese, proud to be Chinese. They don't want to become French, American, or whatever. No, it's not about that. It is about them being travelers, being, in the past time, before all the events started, to be people who travel often to America, to Europe, and they want to be able to adapt and to fit in the environment they are. Just like the way that you, me, and the people watching maybe, when they come to China, they know they have to learn some of the local culture to be able to adapt the local business customs. It's the same way they do. Of course, they are pretty much interested into some elegance topics, how to look beautiful, how to look slim. But this is the concern. They want to be international.
I see. You said that mainly Tier 1, mainly because you are present in Tier 1, or do you feel that the market is in Tier 1? My understanding that was Tier 2 and Tier 3, actually with some wealthy people. Some people wanted actually to raise their level of appearance, education to a higher level, especially for the children, would be actually as well very keen to attend classes. How do you interpret the fact that it's only first tier?
So somehow I will say the same. It's a matter of being international or not, and not about money. So indeed, you have wealthy people all over China, but being a wealthy people doesn't make it a client for us. Definitely not. What makes them a potential client for us is, do they have an international taste or not? If they have been traveling by themselves, if they've been willing to go to London, to Paris, to America, or even elsewhere, sometimes to Africa, South America, and to taste a bit of local culture, local cuisine by themselves, yes, potentially they will be interested in our classes. If they are very successful, extremely rich person, somewhere deep in the province, and they never get out of it, there are quite very little chances our services will be interesting for them. And actually, I will say, these same people probably won't be also clients of our clients, like the big brands you mentioned from LVMH, from L'Oreal, from all these major beauty and luxury brands, they won't have them as a client.
Got it. When you started 7 years ago, you started certainly with the background from your family, with already a lot of things in mind, a lot of knowledge already. How much did you have to adapt to China? How much did you have to change for China in terms of content, but in terms also of ways of teaching? I believe it's not only the content. Maybe content, actually, you keep it. Like many luxury brands keep the product, keep the content, but the ways they engage, the ways they communicate may be slightly different in China, or even totally different sometimes.
Totally different. So here, you're very right. It was a totally rejuvenation of the business. So to come back, what my family did actually was in the 1920s, they were like former tutors. They were teaching like French, mathematics, grammar, sports, but also indeed some manners. And yes, the little story being some years, they had the future king as a student, but they had plenty of other students back then. There were people who were intended later to go to study in Europe, to become doctor, lawyer, or some other kind of intellectual professions. As soon as I decided to launch this business in China, the first decision I had to do is, okay, how are we going to adapt this knowledge in first today's world? Because what my family used to teach 90 years ago was definitely not the same, what the same needs as today's world, and especially in China. Indeed, if I would have launched this in Europe, in France, for instance, I would have done it completely differently. People don't have the same expectations. People in France, for instance, I realize now being in this industry for a while, European, American as well, but Western in general, wants someone to show credibility. They want to appear serious. They want to be taken with respect. Somehow they are looking for formality. They want to be sure to abide by the rules, to understand the rules, and to be seen as someone smart, intelligent. This is a huge concern. It doesn't mean this concern doesn't exist in China, but what they expect from us is different. The brands, the major brands you quoted, what they expect from us is somehow to give some depth in the product they sell. When you sell a Chanel, a Dior bag, or some Cartier jewelry, it's just a bag. It's just a ring. What makes it special is that you have a brand around it with an heritage, with a culture. So the brand provides this depth. And we, by providing a training, we give even more depth. We explain, like for instance, for the bag, there is an etiquette of wearing it, how to work with it. When you have a beautiful ring, what kind of poses can you do to make it even more good looking on you? So this is what we had to adapt. What the Chinese customer is looking is completely different than the European one. And it's an endless process of learning. We keep on learning, we keep on proposing new products and keep on adjusting.
What I understand is that in some way you're helping the companies actually building credibility and protecting their pricing in some way, protecting their unicity in the Chinese market by adding up this layer of deepness, as you said, or understanding of why it's that sophisticated. Because indeed, as you said, a bag, it's from a very luxury brand, is not bought for this function. It's bought for everything, how deep it is in terms of culture, branding, as you said, and image. Is my understanding correct?
Completely. This is actually the definition of luxury, and somehow in all of this kind of images businesses, all the value comes from the imagination, from the emotions you have attached to the product. When you buy something from Chanel, from one of these big brands, you buy the dream which is attached to it. And this dream, you need to build it up. It takes time. And it takes also some engagement, some emotional engagement. And this is what we help. We help for the brands to create the emotional engagement. When people are coming to our events, they know they're going to leave something special. They know they won't be behaving like they do in their living room or with their friends casually on weekends. No, they know they're going to have to pay attention. They know they're going to have to enter to a certain world where Every detail matter. So this is this dream we're making them live. This is also this depth we are giving them. And this is what people are ready to pay for.
Do you think they keep the habits after in their life? Do they think they continue to behave similarly, or it's impacting their maybe not daily but frequent life, some gatherings and so on?
You said the word. It's about making an impact. You, me, we don't behave the same if we are with our clients or if we are with our family at the beach or like in some very relaxed place. Etiquette is somehow being able to know how to adapt, when and where and what to do, with who. So this is exactly what we are providing them. So of course they won't change drastically their lifestyle, but we give them the tools to know how to adapt in each situation and to be confident. To give you a concrete example, very often I do have people texting me afterwards and saying, "Oh, I'm going to this gala. Is this dress suitable? Oh, there are so many glasses, so many forks and knives. I forgot what you said. I remember you said this or that. Can you please remind me? I think I should use that one, but I'm not sure." This happened quite frequently. Yes. So yes, even if they take only 10% of what we said, somehow it gives them already an awareness, and the mission is done.
You said that you adapted by the fact that you partner more with luxury brands, I understand, in China, and your go-to market is in a way being supported by those luxury brands would need more deepness and support to engage with their clients. I understood that. But what in terms of the content, have you changed the content for China? That's the first question. And second question is, in order to interacting with them in the manner of how to interact, to teach and so on, we don't have the same understanding of what etiquette is. I remember my grandmother always telling me, "We don't cut the salad," right? Nobody told them that before in China. So how did you adapt in terms of content and the way of seeing this content during the sessions you are holding with luxury brands?
Okay, so about content and about the way to deliver it. First, about content. People are not indeed interested in the same things. So I will take it differently. For all of you watching us, being abroad, being willing to enter to China, you are probably interested to learn about some Chinese manners, some Chinese etiquette, some Chinese way of doing businesses. Probably. Actually, we do have sometimes some inquiries like this, and we do have trainings to help people in Chinese business manners. We have already been completing these trainings several times. If you want these trainings, you will be interested to know what to do, when, how, but you won't have interest to know that it comes from that empress or that king that used to live 2,000 years ago, and because from this poet. No, it's not your culture. It's something which is already too far for you. You want things which are practical, ready to use right now. If we reverse it with Chinese, it's exactly the same. They're willing to learn some manners which are easily and useful, easily applicable, but to know that it comes from that century because that emperor said that to that count, this is a lesser concern. It will interest some people who already have, let's say, some cultural knowledges. Like typically when I have people who have been living in the UK, in France, or elsewhere for a long time, they will be interested in that. And here we come to also what Western people are interested in. They're interested in more in the historic part and understanding the why, and to go in these tiny details. And on the way to teach, actually, what you just said just before is very French. Or I would say very Western.
What did I say?
You told me about your grandmother.
Okay.
And every time I do have some Western people, I can be sure they will be willing to show me that they know something. So they will quote me one of the events they had, or one of the famous people they met, or their family, to show that they do have some knowledge. So when I do have a training, if I have at least even some Western people in the trainings, I know I will have to let them shine. I will have to let them show that they have some knowledge. And once we do that, And on top of that, if I tell them, yes, you're correct, wow, you're very knowledgeable, we are good with them. Chinese, indeed, is different. Chinese have a strong respect for the teachers. The Lao Shi is someone we listen to. We don't ask many questions to Lao Shi. So the animation is completely different. While with, let's say, a Western population will tend to use the crowd as an animation tool for the debate. We will basically just give directions. With the Chinese, it's can be sometimes often a one-man show. You have to be entertaining, you have to be reactive and make them feel well, even though they won't dare to stop you. So somehow it has good and bad points in both ways. Western people, we may ask you some tricky questions, they may challenge you, but somehow they help to build up trainings, they help to build up the events. Chinese people, they won't, so they won't give you troubles, but it's on you to make the animation and to build up the events. So yeah, that's the big differences. And to finish on your question, in terms of trainings, but this you assume the answer already, we have drastically changed the content because of that. As people don't have the same expectation, it's not same content. So for instance, here, the class of photo posing, how to pose elegantly, beautifully, how to look slimmer, younger, is extremely popular. And it's maybe something I should try in the future in the West. Maybe it would work as well.
Yeah, I believe there is a bit of technological change as well. I mean, the iPhone is 2008, and you started the business in 2014 or 13. So I believe before 2008 and after, there are some changes as well. And that actually linked to one of the questions I had. How do you embed technology? So recently, because of the lockdown, and we are shooting today's end of April 2020, so the world is impacted by the epidemic, not in China anymore, but not much less at least. And you shot a class online, or you did something online. I don't know if it was live. I don't know if it was you're shooting, then you were sending to your current students or clients. How do you embed technology on something which is supposed to show heritage? And I believe that's a topic which is common to every luxury brand.
Completely. Once again, etiquette, it's something which change, which evolve. We don't behave the same today as we did 500 years ago. So the purpose is not to bring them tradition and to tell them something which will be eternal. Nothing is eternal. No behavior is eternal. But how to live better with more confidence, more elegance in today's world. So of course, we have to welcome every single technology innovation and to see how can we incorporate it in our world. So here we do. We do have an online classes actually running for kids. So it's twice a week. Kids have to be online on an application. We do use actually the same that parents are using at school. So teachers, they can give some homework through the application and parents can check it. So we have been using the same and parents find it very convenient. So this is something ongoing, paid offer, of course. And also every week we do have some live streamings. So this is more like a show. So it's me animating it. I will try some dining manners, some departments, some kind of events, and people are getting online to watch it. How
do you do the live streaming? I'm very interested to understand what platform you use and what audience you target. I understand the live streaming is open as advertisement, or
yes.
It's paid as well.
It's open. It's okay. Open, but people, it's people tend to send some hongba or some.
I see. So you can earn money a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, right? It's not sizable. To be sizable, you need to be a very big KOL.
To be sizable, you need to be a very big KOL. You need to be first fluent in Chinese, I think, and to make it very often, not to say every day and during several hours every day. So it's a full-time job. So you need to be dedicated to that. We do have our core business is different, is the trainings. We do use it indeed as a promotion tools, but more actually is getting more and more popular. We do have brands now asking us to do streaming for them and also to teach their team how to do streamings. The retail and is suffering quite a lot with the current situations. So brands are looking a way to introduce their product by streamings. So we have been already asked, could we do some trainings for them in terms of the technical part of that, and also the way to animate it. What kind of pose, what kind of gesture, what kind of way of talking do you do? So these are all questions we have been through for a while now. And on the platform, especially Zhihu. So this is a live stream platform from Weibo. This is the one we have been using so far. And we may probably soon open it on Douyin. Oh, and actually on Thursday, so 5:30 afternoon China time, we are going to do a live stream. And for the first time, it will be also on Instagram.
So Thursday, it's 30th of April, 2020.
Yes.
So I saw in the picture that you were sharing that you had like 3 screens, three phones doing the live streaming or the classes?
Live streaming.
Live streaming. Can you tell us more about how you prepare and how you articulate those live streaming with 3 different phones? Is it 3 different platforms at the same time? Is it different angles? And can you tell us more about the live streaming? Does it last 30 minutes, 1 hour? Your best practices on it?
Mm-hmm. So, very good. So it's very simple. You need 1 phone per account. So for instance, for us, if we have Douyin, Zhihu, and Instagram, it will mean 3 phones. So in the past, we're mostly doing Zhihu, so it was 1 phone. But we had a lot of several partners who wanted to join and to also record the live on their platforms. So that way we had also their phones. So for instance, this Thursday, so the 30th of April of this year, I will have at least 2 phones because we do it on Instagram and on Zhihu.
And you are actually, when we look at your marketing, you are pretty strong on Zhihu. So I understand that you have live streaming, so you use your Weibo to live stream. Douyin account you just started, as I understand, and Instagram you also it's a bit newer for you, and you are doing one on Thursday, if my understanding is correct. But what we found out during our research that we understand where you are pretty strong. Maybe we're wrong, and let us know. It's Zhihu, and Zhihu, for people listening to us, the equivalent of Quora, so it's a Q&A platform. And my understanding, it makes a lot of sense because people have a lot of questions about etiquette. I have to go to a gala, as you said. What mistake should I avoid? Maybe simply instead of what I should wear, or if I am at a dinner, with which fork I should begin to eat and which fork I should end to eat. So, could you explain us more about your Chinese marketing and more specifically about Zhihu, if my understanding is correct?
Correct. So indeed, a lot of our activity is to produce content on social medias. So the main one being first, actually, WeChat still. A lot of things have been said on WeChat. I won't repeat. But for
including followers? Sorry to interrupt, but including followers, because on Zhihu, you are pretty strong in terms of followers.
We have more on Zhihu,
right?
We have more on Zhihu, but the core clients is definitely on WeChat. So we have 11,000 followers on WeChat, but they do represent people strongly interested into etiquette and willing to purchase luxury goods. The second one, in terms, so for WeChat being my first, then I have 2 other ones in China, which are also pretty big. You mentioned Zhihu. So Zhihu, we have around, I think, more than 40,000, 45,000. I think I should check the last figure. Maybe
I confirm. We checked 2 days ago.
You did 2 days ago? Okay. So how much was it 2 days ago?
Yeah, 45 something. But you don't have the exact number. It's like so one. So yeah, okay. 4.5. Yeah.
So, and also Weibo, we have around 20,000. So Zhihu is indeed, we got quite a lot of followers, and honestly, we maybe spending half or even a quarter of the time that we spent on WeChat. For that,
so very effective.
Yes, pretty effective. It's as you said, it's a platform which is matching our business core. We are a knowledge company, sharing knowledge. Zhihu is a platform about getting knowledge, asking for more knowledge. So yes, we have been answering several questions which were regarding our domain. So about, of course, dining manners, about how to look confident, about public speaking as well. And yes, it has been, plus I have to say, Zhihu, the population going on Zhihu is also clearly matching our target. It's people who have been graduated from universities, people living in major cities, people generally educated and having some executive jobs. While Weibo people expect some, let's say, more funny content, more entertaining. So it's a totally different ecosystem.
I see. Would you mind we pause a little bit on Zhihu, because I think that's a platform which is a bit overlooked by marketers and people don't realize the potential. And myself, I think that it's a tricky platform. So one of the questions I had is, do you answer the questions or do you write your own question that you answer back? I think it's a very common practice on Quora. That's one question I have. And then Quora and Zhihu have similar path in terms of a bit of comments which are not relevant, sometimes answers which are not relevant. How do you cope with that? Do you reply back? Is it something you engage? You have really planned to manage this?
So indeed, Zhihu, I know some companies have had this strategy to have several accounts to post questions, to have other accounts to follow the questions, to make it more trendy. Being very honest with you, it's not something we did. Not because we don't believe in that, simply because our energy was focused on other medias, especially WeChat, and also because we didn't have the need simply on Zhihu.
The question were there, right?
The question were there already, and there were not so many people answering our domain. So it was, we had somehow a blue ocean in front of us. So we didn't need to do that. But we have been, so now if I'm correct, we answer 2 questions per week, while in the past, when we started Zhihu in 2016, end of 16. Back then, it was much more. We may have answered 10 questions per week. So the beginning, we were filling with answers. And actually, these answers continue to feed our account. Plus, we do produce marketing articles on WeChat that we repost on Zhihu. Plus, when we have events, we do have photos. We send them also on Zhihu. Same with our videos. We produce videos twice a week, which are broadcasted, were posted on WeChat, on Zhihu, on Weibo, on Instagram, and also on Facebook. So we do create a lot of content that we place all over the platforms.
Yeah, something I strongly believe is that the content you create, you can actually publish on different accounts, even though you have to adapt it a little bit because different platforms have different ways of interacting with content. But when you say you publish on Zhihu, you mean you publish on your on your identity, or you publish it by answering specific questions? So you use the video to answer specific questions, or do you actually publish on your feed?
You can do both. So for people who are watching us and who don't know about Zhihu, so Zhihu, you will look for questions that have been asked and followed by people. So meaning that there could be 10,000, 20,000, millions sometimes, people following one questions, and they will be notified as soon as answers. There can be several answers. Several people could answer the same question, and they will get notified by that. So when you do answer, you can answer with text. You can answer also with links to articles. You can answer with photos, with videos. So this is something we do. We choose the question to answer. And we also have, as you said, Matthieu, we also have a feed on which we post our articles and our videos. And we have one account for myself as individual. And we also have one account, a company account called the Zhihu colon. So this one is not a personal one, it's company one. But people are more interested in personal one, of course.
How does Zhihu and Baidu interact for you? Zhihu is ranked by Baidu, not as well as Baidu Chedao and other platforms owned by Baidu, but still it is. Do you get traffic for people who are going to Zhihu for a specific question, or do you get visibility from people coming from Baidu and other sources and then ending up on Zhihu?
Baidu, you have to talk a bit on Baidu. Somehow, I cannot give you definitive answers for a simple reason is that we started Baidu promotions really, on a professional level last year only to invest money in Baidu research and Baidu keywords. So we have been pushing it, but the crisis happened too early for us to have some definitive answer on effective was a Baidu promotion. But so far, the trend we got was that Baidu is too wide, is too general for topics. As you said, we are niche. Our target clients are very specific.
Yeah.
It's a very small amount of people that can afford and will have this interest. So we were still thinking about how to continue with that or how to adjust it.
You're in a position which is interesting because you are both in B2B and B2C. And from my understanding, Baidu actually is clearly missed by B2B businesses. And actually, Baidu is very good for B2B. And for B2C, Chinese go, as we know, more to Tmall, Taobao, or JD directly and skip the Baidu process, not like in the West where a lot of people would go through Google and then end up to Amazon or other platforms. So it's interesting to have your feedback. On Zhihu, I'd like to add one more thing. If I understand that you answered like about 300 questions to reach this 40,000, 45,000 followers.
That would be interesting to know how many questions did we answer for the last almost 4 years. But I would not be surprised that it comes to 300, yes.
300, 400 even, right?
Probably.
I'd like to open up the discussion on something a bit more wider and the French perception of Chinese through etiquette. I always struggle with talking about France with Chinese people because in my education, the education of a lot of French people, France is linked to the Great French Revolution. It's linked to the Republic. And what Chinese people think of France is about Versailles and the kings of France. And the reason why we have luxury brands is because we had kings, which actually may fit better the British history. How do you have the same perception that there is a bit of schizophrenic identity for French when they go overseas? They are seen as the embodiment of castles and kings, and then where they're back to their country, it's about the Republic and the Great French Revolution.
Well, this sensibility about revolution, about republic, it's something that honestly goes a bit beyond some people do have, but honestly, I don't feel it well. Indeed, we have to be very, let's say, very honest. The British having a monarchy, it's a strong tool, is very useful for them as a market way, but we do have clearly a strong image on luxury and elegance. But beyond that, I would say like Seri TV, like Downton Abbey, was even more efficient promotion tool that many other things you could have thought. I'm very impressed by the amount of our clients who have been watching Downton Abbey, who have been also following Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn is one of the key female figures they like to identify themselves if they take a foreign figure. Let's be clear.
Interesting.
Yes. French wise, as today's Sophie Marceau, something is one I often see. Chanel, of course, Coco Chanel is still a great figure. So France is elegant. France is romantic. Still, France remain romantic. For many of them, French are romantic. Yes.
And when talking to many Chinese as well, the perception of luxury as an identity of France is linked to the kings. Do you have the same understanding that Chinese clients of luxury want to have a reason, want to understand the rationale behind the price, behind the luxury, and behind how exceptional it is. And in order to find a rationale, they have to link it with Versailles and the kings. Do you have the same interpretation, or your understanding is different?
There is a schizophrenia here, actually, in the fact that indeed China no longer have any emperor or any nobility class, but they still do have strong fascination for that. So this is something I've noticed. So you'll be surprised by the amount of people who came to a class for their kids, hoping that one day their children could marry a prince or princess. I have a lot of verbatims that way. The woman telling me, oh, I wanted my son to come to your class, even if he's too young, because he is the same age as Princess Charlotte of the United Kingdom. And maybe one day they could meet and they could marry. And you could clearly see by watching the eyes that she was believing in that.
Mainly from the British monarchy, right? Or they are thinking also about other monarchies from Europe, from Africa, from Middle East. What do they have in mind?
Indeed, princesses, it's something that makes them dream. Definitely.
From every country.
There will be two large spoken ways, but yes, in general, it's something that it's still a strong dream. The fact that you belong to a family that has travels over the ages, that has a legacy, is something strong. China is a country where family tradition is important. That you are a piece of the chain, and meaning that you belong to a chain who has accomplished prestigious things in the past. Indeed, it's a very powerful dream. And we said luxury is about dream, right?
True. Then you have a new class to start, right? How to get married to the princess. I'm always ending the talk with a couple of questions. I mean, a list of questions, not two, but more, but half a dozen. In order to understand what you can share with people about China and as an entrepreneur, and especially about books. So what books inspired you most in your entrepreneur journey? So not specifically for China, but as an entrepreneur. I don't know if I think you are a member of some entrepreneur organization. I don't know if it's EO or French Chamber, but those kinds of entrepreneurs usually always have books in their mind.
Yes. So indeed, I'm a member of the French Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also a member of EO, Entrepreneur Organization. And without a single doubt, I will answer you that the book that struck me the most was Scaling Up from a Verney Irish. So the book reference of EO. To make it simple, every page, he delivers more knowledge than most of the author on this market. So every page is a game changer in terms of running business. So this is the kind of book that you could read 10, 20, 30 times. You will still discover things, and you will still consider that, oh, there is a lot I need to do on my business.
Yeah, this book is organized through cash management, people management in a very, very practical way where you can apply daily debrief, weekly debrief, and so on. I think I'm going to believe that EO is a cult because there is so much similarities between the way people talk about scaling up and the Bible that I'm going to investigate if it's not a cult. What do you read to stay up to date about China?
To stay up to date about China, such a good question. Reading what's going on of course, on your WeChat moment. There's already quite a lot of information. What your contact, your clients are thinking, what are they doing, is already feeding a lot, I would say. And to be cross platforms, to look also a bit on how is it on Weibo, how is it on LinkedIn, how is it of course on the Western social medias. They have also different angle view, and this is a multi-source of information, I think.
How do you process the feeds of other people from WeChat? I'm doing that sometimes, and sometimes I'm struggling with myself, saying, do I waste my time here, or do I learn something? And sometimes I feel actually I'm learning things because I'm learning how people behave, what people want to show off, how people behave, and what people want to share. But that's when you are a bit analytical, when you're stepping back to analyze. What's your feeling about it? I'm sure you are thinking about what to do with this information.
Yes, indeed. When we look at the WeChat moments, we're overwhelmed with business promotions, with people sharing their last weekends, sharing the video of their dogs. But all of this is information. So if someone somehow shares about his dog or his pet, his kids, if it's what is interesting to share, if it's where his attention goes, this is already an information. And who is this person? Is it someone who works or not? What kind of position? So it gives a frame. It gives a frames on the interest they have at the moment. When there was a lockdown in China, well, of course, you can be sure that everyone was talking about this. Right now, it's pretty interesting to see what are their new expectations, what are their interests.
What book on China this time you would recommend, if any, or maybe another source, which could be actually a movie, a book, or something you feel is useful to understand China?
There was one I was reading before coming to China that still struck me. It's called, it's in French, Les 30 Glorieuses Chinoises, so the 30 glorious years of China, written by a journalist. I think she was a correspondent of the newspaper Le Point. She had been living for more than 30 years in China, so since the early 1980s. And she was pretty good informed about several big topics that have happened. And the book was really, really mind-blowing. So what happened in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s, in the 2010s, she was capable to make us feel the evolution of the concern of China's, their fear, their dreams, what they were aiming for. I would have been very interested to discuss furthermore with this journalist.
Her name is Caroline Puel, and indeed she was in Beijing for a long time. I think she's back.
You know her.
I used to live in Beijing, so I met with her one time, but I can't say I know her. And indeed, I would say, and I'm very happy you mentioned this book, because I would have said the same thing if someone had asked me this question. So, and you're first one to say that, also because it has not been translated in English, I believe. If you had the extra time, what would you do? What business would you pursue? Maybe more business oriented.
If I would do another business.
Extra time, yeah.
Extra time. Oh, there were so many things I would have to do. One of the extensions of this business I would have to do is silk. In the business plan, I would love one day somehow to go back to Europe and on the same way I brought here a piece of Europe, a piece of France in China, I would love to bring a piece of China to Europe. And I do believe one of the things I've enjoyed the most in this company is to build up a universe, to build up a dream, emotions, and to share it. I like to believe that I've been welcoming all of these people, all of these beautiful ladies in our elegant and beautiful, sophisticated world. I would love one day to be able to propose to maybe the French ladies, the European ladies, to come to another beautiful and sophisticated Chinese-influenced world. So this is something which is running on my mind, and that I'm preparing for maybe a couple of years.
Interesting. Last two questions, and I'm very interested to have your answers on this. Since you have been in China for 7 years, what kind of success and failure you have witnessed in China, which could be a company, which could be a behavior of people, which surprised you? The example I always mention is the failure of Carrefour, which is surprising in some way, because when I arrived, it was the winner, and as a success, indeed, I didn't expect that people will use so much QR code everywhere. I mean, that's coming from WeChat, but the story of the QR code is very surprising to me. What would be your take on this?
I'm very amazed by how fast the digital landscape is changing. When I came, so WeChat was starting. I mean, marketing-wise, in terms of articles, Weibo was already declining. Everyone said Weibo is going to be dead, indeed, and the big thing on Weibo passed. Then it was WeChat. Everyone had to go on WeChat. The year after, it was Taotiao. So you had to be on Taotiao. We went on Taotiao. We quit Taotiao. Taotiao didn't work. So for those who are watching who don't know, so Taotiao was a news platform with a different kind of business model. So they will analyze what are you interested in, and they will push you the news that you tend to watch. Let's say you are a big football fan, so you only check articles about football. You're going to have on your feed only football associated articles and so on. So this one disappeared as fast as it came. So we could talk also about Xiaohongshu, so red. So the little red book, so red in English. Same. In 2018, I think it was all about red. We had to be on red. We were strongly pushed to go on red. It was declared not bankrupt, but I think pretty almost dead last year.
Yeah, banned from the app stores. For some time.
Yes, banned from App Store and also from the some Chinese providers as well. So this is what amazed me the most. What to date is working on social medias is definitely not what will work even in 6 months. For us doing marketing here, I mean, marketing is our key clients acquisition channel here on social medias. It's very hard to stay on page. When I discuss also with some friends working in marketing agencies, they are also coping to remain updated. So I can imagine that how hard it can be for people being abroad to stay updated, because we are also struggling here.
What about the failure that or something which was unsuccessful in China, which show you for you is embodying something happening in the society? I'm
thinking, this is linked to my industry, I'm thinking strongly on the private clubs, like the town and country clubs. When I started, I've been, the first years, I was very often contacted by private clubs, town and country clubs, private club of this, private club of that, on the model that can exist on the English-speaking countries, especially in America. In England, America, if you are from a certain social background, you have to be a member of the club, of a certain club. This is where you're going to meet potential partners, where you're going to do business. So, somehow every nationality came to China to try to duplicate what has been working in its own country. French comes with the wines, Germans came with their industries, and Americans have been coming with, amongst many things, of course, but with this concept of private clubs. I don't have seen it working at all. So far, all the private clubs I've seen are sorry for them if they are watching it, but are complete failure. There are no members. They are struggling to find animations, and even those I've seen having some very smart, very dedicated, very creative managers and teams, even them, they failed where I think they could have been extremely successful in another country. So for me, the example of the private club, obviously either it's too early, maybe not, I don't know, or it doesn't fit the Chinese market.
It's very, very interesting. I had the same feeling back in Beijing 10 years ago. I lived 4 years in Beijing, and you saw a lot of those private clubs, or you don't really know their identity, what they want you to do. But indeed, I'm not seeing a momentum in them. I didn't see a momentum. It's a very interesting topic to understand more what happened in there. Thanks so much for being with us. It was very instructive, very, very interesting talk. I would have a lot of other questions, but it's close to, I think, even more than 1 hour. So we have to stop. I hope you enjoyed. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Well,
I did. Thank you very much for having me. It was a great pleasure. Thank you I hope that you people watching have learned something. And if you have any questions about anything, any cooperation, I'm of course very happy to answer you.
How? LinkedIn, email, website?
Definitely. So you can find me on LinkedIn on my name. So Guillaume Rué de Bernadac. I know it's a bit long. I think it's going to be in the video, right? You're going to write it somewhere. So you can find me that way on LinkedIn. You can also text me through the website. So info@actebernadac.com. So I can send you the information. Very happy to get in touch with all of you.
Thanks, Guillaume. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Bye-bye, everyone.